Wars. Today I'm going to talk about Hurricane Wars. And I actually finished this quite a while ago. And I'm like, are you sure you want to talk about it? You don't remember everything that happened in there. But the thing is, it's kind of basic enough where I remember the main things. I mean, who wouldn't? I will read quickly the inside. And this, of course, is my gorgeous Fairy Loot edition of this book. The lovely, lovely art. But from the inside, Taliesin was left on the steps of a Sardovian orphanage as a baby. All she has ever known is the Hurricane Wars, as her people fight for freedom from the tyranny of the Night Emperor Garrus. But are they truly her people? Taliesin dreams of one day finding where she comes from, her family, and the source of the magic that flows through her veins like sunlight. Alaric of House Osinast. I'm trying to remember if that was Osinast? Alaric of House Osinast? I don't remember how they pronounce that, to be honest. Master of the Shadowforge Legion and Garrus's only son and heir, has been honed into a weapon by his father. Tasked with obliterating the neighboring Sardovian Alford, Alaric focuses on only one goal: extinguish all threats to the Night Empire with his armies and his storm ships and his shadow magic. That is, until he sees Taliesin burning brightly on the battlefield with the same light magic that slew his grandfather, turned his father into a monster, and ignited the decade-long Hurricane Wars. He tries and fails to kill her, something about making him pause, allowing his now greatest enemy to slip through his fingers. But a new horror emerges from across the Eversea, one that promises to cause even more devastation than the Hurricane Wars. Only Taliesin and Alaric can stop it. Will these mortal foes be able to come together, or will they end up destroying each other and dooming their world in the process? So this is an enemies to lovers tale. It's kind of like an enemies to lovers, still enemies tale. But there are two opposing forces, and they end up colliding masterfully. They come from the two sides. She, of course, discovers that she is descending from more of a royal line on the other side. And not only that, she's kind of used as a pawn for this whole battle. So she and Alaric are sort of forced to marry. But it's not only that, because they're enemies, right? But then for a time, they're not enemies. They're kind of cool with having to get married because they're kind of attracted to each other immensely. And not only that, but they discover that their two powers can actually work really well together and become uber powerful. So like that's a possibility. But then at the same time, there's all the twists and turns like there would be in a romance novel where they kind of have a falling out, and she still totally doesn't like him and has the hate enemy thing. I feel almost like, if I remember correctly, that Alaric still feels more for her, but she's still more like angry about a lot of stuff. Anyway, they do sort of have to work together in order to defeat a larger enemy. The problem is, of course, that this is not a one and done. This is a start. So I don't remember if this is going to be a duology or trilogy or what, but the story doesn't end here, so you're left on a cliffhanger. And that's kind of all well and good, but yeah, I don't know where it's going to go from there. So we know for sure that their powers are really good together and can win together, but at the same time, they're the people above, the two of them, are still also committed to defeating one another or gaining the overall power of the world. And so they're still trying to use the two of them as pawns. And I think in doing so, it's really messing with the two of their relationships. So they can't just like get over issues and come together because they're still kind of pawns and in part of the other outside worlds that they have. And it's messy and it's wild. And I think the twist at the end is that the Alaric's dad has something that could mess with her power. But of course the problem in doing that would be he kind of needs her power in order to have all of his power. Anyway, there's a whole big power struggle, battle thing happening as well. And it's really messing up having their romantic times and feelings. I mean, they definitely have some of that too. This is romantasy, as the new term goes. So you're going to get the big fantasy elements, the epic battles, but you're also going to get the spicy enemies to lovers vibes as well. Only, like I said, it's also like back to enemies because they can't really trust each other, and there's a lot of betrayal and a lot of plotting to still get rid of the other side on both sides. So it's a messed up political kind of thing, but they're still married. They were forced to get married, so that's a thing. I don't feel like that's any spoilers because they kind of, I mean, it sort of is, but it's mild spoilers because they kind of give that away even in the synopsis where it's like, all right, now you have to do this thing. And I don't know. It was pretty good, but I feel like a lot of the books getting released, and especially in the Fairy Loot, they're very pretty and they're very kind of similar vibes. I guess in this what's cool is it's not like they're, well, but they kind of are fated to be together because of their powers, but it's not like as fated to be together as like the was it the first book I reviewed? Now I can't remember it. I remember the cover was like green and it was cool. But anyway, it's not like as fated as that, where it's like you literally are fated to be with somebody, which I told you I'm not a huge fan of. I like free will. I like it better when people find common ground and choose to work and be together. But there were some good scenes. The writing was pretty good. So I didn't have like a bad time with it. It just, a lot of them haven't like stuck with me in a really powerful way. I don't know what it is. I don't know. Maybe I just haven't been in like a super mood for it. I am super looking forward to reading A Fragile Enchantment. Is that the one that I got recently? It's like the YA one and it's so pretty. I'm so looking forward to that one and I hope it doesn't let me down. And I'm not let down by this. I think it was a good start and I love this beautiful cover. And I look forward to seeing like what happens with the battle. I think with this I actually got kind of mad that we have all like this buildup and then it ends and it's very cliffhanger. I don't know. Plus I always get frustrated when like the characters don't really communicate well with one another. Like I feel like with these two, and this is like nothing. Honestly, like if they communicated and decided to work with one another, they could probably just revolutionize the whole world system that they're living in. And I get that maybe like he wouldn't want to do that because he wouldn't want to, you know, take over his father or whatever. I kind of get that, but at the same time, these are people that for the last 10 years have been waging this horrible war and everybody's just dying. So I'd be like, no, we have all this power. We're going to rewrite the way that things are going. Like, you don't have that control anymore. I'm going to take it. And I get that that's revolutionary, but, you know, the old ways haven't worked. I don't know. That was probably a mean thought to put out into the world. But it's a book, so who cares? Yeah, I like them. I think the depiction on the cover is interesting, and I keep getting like taken in by it. I wish I could remember anything else that I wanted to say, but I honestly feel like there wasn't anything that specifically stood out to me. This one was mainly like about the emotion, and then of course the events, the big events of the book. Like I can't give those away. So it's like, well, what do you think other than that? And it's just the relationship drama that happens. There's a lot of good secret reveals. That, I mean, you can kind of piece it out. You can, but I think that's why it comes really down to a character story. Like, you have to just want to kind of know the characters and see them find a way to work it out and get together. I did kind of like their chemistry. I kind of wanted to see them find a way to be together. I'm sure that in the next book they will. Of course, if it's a trilogy, maybe they won't. But I don't know. There's not much else I could say about it. Like, I'm just thinking, I'm like, it was fun. It was fun. I had a good time with it. I did like it. I wish there was something more I could say about it. That sounds awful, but honestly, like, I feel like I would give away too much. Like, I've already given away quite a bit without spoiling all of the details of it. So I don't want to go farther than that because it would, like, really give it away. I don't love this as much as, say, like, a Day of Bad trilogy. The Day of Bad trilogy was, like, super good. I loved that series. Like, I could talk about that a ton. It wasn't as good as that. And it wasn't as grippingly out there as, say, like Fourth Wing, which had its issues, but overall had like this, it's not as gripping as that. But it is kind of just like a nice story, if that makes sense. Does that sell it okay? I mean, it got a nice romance. Again, not as dark and weird as like Fourth Wing, but kind of fun and sparky. And yeah, I look forward to seeing what happens with these two and the rest of the crew. It's weird right now. It's a weird time for books. That's all I know. That's it for this video. Until next time. Bye.